family, friends and neighbours welcome. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 a.m, going to St Michael's Church, Irish, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to Carndonna Community Hospital, care of any family member or Comiskey Funeral Directors. House private please before the funeral, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Eileen Rankin, Chure, Muff. Everyone is welcome to the family home on Thursday and Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. House private at all other times and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral service will take place in Greenbank Presbyterian Church on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m, followed by burial in the adjoining burying ground. Family flowers only please. If wished, donations in lieu of flowers to Greenbank Presbyterian Church, care of Mrs Sylvia McCon, 3 Trees, Quigley's Point, County Donegal. The death has occurred at her late residence of Joan Doherty, 559 Ardmaccool, Stranorlar. Remains reposing at McCool's Chapel of Rest today and tomorrow from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Funeral from there on Saturday, June 1st, for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorlar at 11 a.m. Cremation will take place afterwards in Lakeland's Crematorium, Cavan. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on churchservices.tv. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the Dialysis Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred in Spain of Claire O'Sullivan, Maharamore, Carndonna. Claire's ashes will be returning home and a funeral mass will be held tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonna, followed by interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
As we spring into summer, some things are just guaranteed. Like farmers' tans, they're everywhere. And the great barbecue debate, is gas ever better than charcoal? No. Another guarantee, and only in Ireland, is that one Eurodreams player will win €2,000 every month for the next 5 years. Guaranteed. That's €2,000 a month for 5 years. But only if you play Eurodreams on Thursday, May 30th. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly, play for fun.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday the 30th of May, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €11,400 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 22. The jackpot number is 27. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 7, 39, 46, 84, 8, 23, 33, 77, 27, and finally 49. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in-store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Are you building, rebuilding or renovating? What heat pumps or solar panels would suit your build? Come along and speak to the experts, Efficient Renewables on heat pumps and solar panels. Get advice on installation and grants available. Visit the Efficient Renewables showroom in Newton Cunningham and see these products in operation for yourself.
Take advantage of your used car value by trading in for a new 242 Hyundai during the open week now on at Divers in Letterkenny. See the new look Tucson or test drive the all-new Kona. Low-rate finance options are available across the entire range with 1.9% APR on the award-winning Hyundai EV range. Don't miss the big 242 open week at Divers Hyundai Letterkenny until this Friday, the 31st of May. Finance rates are subject to change and calculated by Bank of Ireland Finance.
Come Coming this year to Dublin for the very first time. 71 shows completely sold out. Hamilton at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. Experience the revolutionary musical that's taken the world by storm. Witness history come alive with electrifying performances and unforgettable music with a modern twist. Book your place now on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25,000.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, and we are committing the next hour and 50 minutes to the Lifford Stranorlar electoral area. This is our 10th local election debate, our 15th in total if you count the European debates, and we're delighted to welcome into studio a number of guests, and rather than me give their names now, in the process of introducing them, I'll allow them to introduce themselves. So, Dakota Mheanman of Sinn Féin. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and tell us a little bit about yourself or why people should vote for you in a minute or so.
Thanks, Greg, and good morning to your listeners. It's Dakota Mheanman. I am a 25-year-old mother of one from Féin, and I'm a fluent Irish speaker. I am asking people to vote for me if they want change. I am a new young female voice. This is something that I believe is missing in our area. I understand issues facing both families and my generation. Issues such as the high cost of living, housing crisis and the loss of our young people to immigration. I firmly believe that this generation needs strong representation in Donegal County Council. Sinn Féin are the only party, I believe, who can deliver change, and that change starts here at local level. So on the 7th of June, I am asking everyone to come out and to vote for me and to vote for change. Dakota Mheanman.
All right, stay tuned for more from Dakota. We're also going to hear now from Cahirlock of Donegal County Council, Martin Harley of Fianna Gael. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning, listeners. I've been 15 years a councillor now in the Lifford Stranorlar electorate area, 34 years in business in the Twin Towns. I have the experience of working with executive within the council. I feel that's important going forward because there's a lot of projects that will be important with the regeneration of the Twin Towns, with the bypass coming in the next few years, expected to be delivered, the final delivery from the government in the next even few months, with the drawdown then from the TAA. There's a lot of housing. The council at a local level, we have been involved in buying a lot of land up at a local level over the last number of years for social housing into the next 5 years. So I want to be part of all that into the next 5 years, and I feel that with being the only sitting councillor living in the Twin Towns, I feel that my voice is needed in the next council.
And if you continue to tap that mic, Martin, I'm going to confiscate your chain. So see how you feel about that. Patrick McGowan of Fianna Fáil, good morning to you.
Good morning, Craig. My name is Pat McGowan. I been elected in 1999. I must say I've enjoyed my time in the council. I've gained great experience. I'm a full-time councillor, and generally what I do is I work with community groups. I probably would have helped establish most of the community groups in the area that I serve, from Castlefin, Conway, Glenfin and Féin. I'm still a member of a lot of them groups, both chair and secretary. So as I say, I've gained a lot of knowledge over the years. I've helped deliver on a lot of projects. I'm very aware of the problems that's out there and the needs of the area. I'm very aware of all the bureaucracy and the problems it is trying to link up projects, how to get them started, how to get them up and going and deliver and even draw down money. I know there's a lot of talk out there for change. My thing would be not change for change's sake, change for the better. And I believe with my experience and track record of delivering and working hard for the area, having my feet on the ground, canvassing door to door, and I do that every 5 years as well as in between elections, and I think I will make a good councillor going forward for this area.
Martin Scanlon from Cloughan running as an independent. Good morning to you, Martin.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners. I'm Martin Scanlon. I'm from Stranorlar, Cloughan, as in the parish of Glenfin. I'm married to Belinda, and we have 4 children, twins, Caitlin and Clodagh, aged 11, Darcy, aged 9, and Dara, aged 6. I'm self-employed contractor in the forestry industry, employing 5 full-time staff and also a part-time farmer. I'm currently on the board of management for our local national school called National Cumming. I'm an active member in the community, and I've personally supported local groups such as our Mothers and Others and our local Glenfin teams. I'm a passionate supporter of rural Ireland, and I firmly believe that rural areas such as Glenfin and the surrounding areas could do much better with proper investment. My priorities from day one have been for an improvement in infrastructure, such as our roads, public water supply, broadband and transport. I believe I have something to offer to my local community and Donegal County Council, and it is that basis that I'm putting my name forward in this election as a strong independent voice for the benefit of the entire area, and that's why I'm asking you for your number one vote on June the 7th.
All right, Martin, thanks very much indeed. And Gary Doherty now, Sinn Féin. Good morning to you, Gary.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to my fellow candidates and your listeners. I live in Castlefin with my wife Louise and children Dara, Aoife and Connor. I graduated from the University of Ulster with a BA Honours in Irish History and Politics, and I've been a community and political activist my entire adult life, working and volunteering with community and sporting groups in my area, and being involved with Sinn Féin for almost 25 years now at this stage. I was co-opted onto Donegal County Council back in November 2013, and I can honestly say that it has been the honour of my life to have represented the people of the Lifford Stranorlar area for the last 10.5 years. During my time in the council, I've done everything that I could to try and promote not only the Lifford Stranorlar area but Donegal as a whole, to lobby government officials and departments, and to represent you, the listeners, to the best of my ability. I've spoken in front of Oireachtas committees and met with ministers to highlight issues including flooding or transport infrastructure, including the A5 and 10T routes, and I've represented Donegal in the European Parliament in Brussels to highlight cross-border health initiatives and improvements to our mobile phone network and the broadband infrastructure. Like Martin, I've been a board member of Donegal ETB since 2014, and I was elected to the board of ETBI, which is the national representation body of ETB schools and further education centres, in 2019. I'm the current chair of the Council's Climate Action Committee, and I sit alongside Councillor McGowan and the newly founded Northwest Energy Agency, and I'm hoping to become a part of a strong Sinn Féin team in Lifford alongside Dakota and Tony McDade for this area.
All right, thank you very much for that, and I appreciate each respecting each other's time to speak. Over the course of the next while, though, you can indicate if you wish to come in and make a point. It is a debate after all. Dakota, if I can start with you, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritties of issues, but I suppose more generally speaking, you know, I'd speak to an awful lot of young people representing, say, for instance, the Donegal Youth Council, you know, and they're full of ideas and full of ambition and full of desire to influence change. And then you do look at the council, and, you know, with all due respect, older people can represent the views of young people as well, but there is that gap, right? So we've got these young ambitious people, and then there seems to be a gap where there's people that have been there for a long time or maybe are a little bit older. Do you think you're the person to bridge that gap so that maybe the younger person feels, you know, more represented? If you see it, you can be it, type of thing?
Yeah, I definitely do. So I have the experience that I'm young, but I also have the experience of having a 1-year-old daughter, so I understand kind of the struggles that families are facing. I understand my generation's issues of housing. That's kind of the big one for us. Like, we can't afford no houses, we can't afford to rent, build, buy, any of that. And I know a lot of the sitting councillors, like, they've had their homes for years and they just can't understand how frustrating it is for our generation to not be able to get a home and be secure with your family. And what is it like amongst your peer group in terms of getting out of the parents' house, if you're lucky enough to have access to that, getting into your own space? I think for a lot of people, building, they probably don't even try and pursue that anymore, but rental has become an absolute nightmare now. Yeah, so it's all just a nightmare. Like, I know I've a brother, like, he was denied planning permission for a house, and then, like, his mortgage and stuff, like, he was getting in trouble there too, like, and he's well into his 30s, like, so there's still lame issues no matter what age you are. But a lot of my generation, they're all emigrating now. So I have another friend who's just booked her flights to Australia this summer, and I have nurses that are friends, they're all gone to Australia. Yeah, and I'm not picking on you, Patrick McGowan of Fianna Fáil, but, you know, I mean, Dakota makes a good point there, doesn't she, in that, you know, a lot of the people currently in the council, they have their own homes, they've gone through those battles. It was much easier as opposed to acquire or build property back in the day. Would you agree the council does need, you know, fresh perspective?
Look, we probably always over the years we probably go through recessions in various stages and that. Like when I built my house, it was hard to get a mortgage. People didn't get mortgages then. You had to tip your cap going into a bank manager. It was who you were and so on. And it was very, very difficult. That's where the government at that time brought in loans and so on. And probably over the last 20, 30 years that has been going up and down. And yes, we're in the middle of a housing crisis now at the moment. But there is a lot of work ongoing. Like we come out of a serious recession, and then no sooner than that, then we're into a lot of the buildings stop, and then you had into COVID, and you had one thing or another. The council, particularly in this area, we're probably one of the better municipal districts for building houses. The amount of houses that we have coming that are actually being built right now and that will be built in the next 2 years would nearly wipe our housing list out. I know there's other issues in bigger areas.
Yeah, but those are people on a social waiting list. What about people who aren't on that want to get on the property ladder?
Remember this as well. Every time someone gets a council house, they're freeing up another dwelling. I know some people are living in mobile homes and that. So if we build a couple of hundred houses now, that's freeing up houses. And remember, this is all about the market. The reason the prices are high at the moment because there's a limited number of availability. When the council starts building social houses, people move out of all the estates that we have, say in Ballybofey, Blue Cedars, Lonsdale, them houses are going to be free up, and then the market is driving it. It has always driven. We're open a market economy. We have to be because we sell 80% of everything we've done. But get back.
So you believe this resolves itself then?
No, it's been on cycles. This has always happened and always will. There's been other years in doing it, and when I have my house, we all councillors will have families and brothers and sisters. We have all children and grandchildren, exact same position. So we're not aloft to it. I wouldn't like to think that just because you're a certain age, you don't know what it's like not to have a house, or because you have family and friends. So we are very aware. We're working. We're lobbying. We lobby within the council. We try to get over the problems that are there. There are a lot of restraints. Yes, there's a big demand upon social houses in towns. Most of the planning at the moment is for the countryside. There's maybe 60% of the applications we have, and I can tell you over the last 25 years I could count in one hand the amount of people that come to me whose planning were turned down. Normally planners turn down because it's bad vision lines and issues like that, or the site is not suitable, but generally it is difficult. But I know in my hand I could actually count on one hand. It's getting the right site and so.
That doesn't tell the full story, because you could have planners come onto site and tell you that you're not getting planning, and that wouldn't actually, to say that it's not favourable to planning, and that wouldn't be counted in.
Well, if you look at the figures, you have to go back to the figures. So if you look at the amount of planning that's been granted in the rural countryside at the moment, and that's despite a big push coming from Dublin and other places not to have people living in rural Ireland, but we very much. All of the council, we very much support building houses in the rural countryside where you're providing most of the infrastructure yourself. So we are doing that. The government, on the other hand, is providing sites, zone and land and money for council and social. The problem at the moment is obviously that it's not profitable for builders to be building, and that's something we need to tackle.
Okay, Martin Scanlon, obviously we all have views on housing. Yours is exacerbated by the fact that we can never escape from it, and why should we whilst people are suffering? You live in a house that is affected by defective concrete, so obviously you've a nuanced perspective of housing from a number of different directions.
Yeah, well, my own house, which I purchased in 2017, and just realised then shortly after that it is affected by the defective rocks. The only scheme that seems to be is going to work is 100% redress. Fully support the People's Document, and it has to be adhered to. In regards of housing, we're going to end up in a situation where we're going to have people that have rental properties maybe not being redressed. Maybe 10 years down the road, we're going to end up a large number of houses not being fixed, which is only going to add to the housing crisis. So that has to be addressed. And the People's Document is the way forward, and that is my belief. Yeah, indeed. I'm sure, Martin Harley, you're well aware of the issue of housing and the, affordable housing too. We have this situation whereby we have, hundreds and hundreds of properties, not all houses, but properties available for short-term lets, and then you look for somewhere to rent where people can move in and start to build a life, and all of a sudden, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
or very little there.
Well, say in my 15 years in the council, this is the first time that our last meeting as a local area last week, there's 4 houses, council houses available that are just being done up. They'll be ready for letting in the next, say.
So you're saying the council housing stock is at full capacity once those 4 are brought into? I mean, that's a sign of efficiency, I suppose.
It is a sign of,
at the same time, it points to a lack
of efficiency, because probably the first 6, 7, 8 years I've been in the council, most meetings when you went to, there was always up on a minimum of 40 houses that was always out for that people had left and were getting the houses were being done up, and that was the way it was. In fairness, probably our housing executive have done fantastic work over the last number of years to get that back out again. I suppose getting back to the original question that you asked Dakota was about young people getting housing. I have a young family as well that are getting on the market now as well, and I do see the challenges. And I remember when we bought our first home back in 1990. It seemed like, I think it was 34,000, and I thought to myself, will I ever get this paid for? And it seemed massive at the time, and I thought to myself, mind, there was a house that was something like 32,000 at the time, and we says, well, chances other one to get 34, and we thought we're never going to see this paid for, and that was the way it was back then. So, and that time as well, interest rates that time I remember was 15.5%. I think was the first interest rates I paid, and then I remember buying my business.
But if you look at the price of that house at 34k compared to what you were earning at that time, and you bring that up to 2024, that gap has narrowed greatly.
Yeah. Well, I was, my wage that time was about 160 or 170 euro, 170 punts per week. Like, so it was still a massive chunk out of your wages. But then I remember 3 years later, interest rates went up to over 18% because we had bought our own business at that stage in 1993. And interest rates, like, imagine if interest rates now were at 18%, the whole country would be crippled. But I feel the things have been put in place that has left it now to better. And the problem as well is,
I think people would say, with all due respect, I think people would say the housing market is crippled at the moment.
Oh yeah, see, part of the problem as well is after the crash of 2008, 2009. There was 240,000 people in work in the construction sector at that stage. That went down to 90,000 around 2011. We're back up again at 190,000 in that construction sector. So we're still 50,000 people short, and this is something that we need to be looking at. And instead of people saying, Candice scouting about people coming into the country, I think we should be looking at that as a benefit to our country, that we can be using these people to help build up the construction sector workers. So I think there's a lot of positives in that.
Gary Doherty, come on in there.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that we've skirted around so far, Greg, is the affordability and affordable houses. I think that's something that I've been championing for probably the last 7 or 8 years, that there's a huge cohort of people who are over the income limits for social housing, but yet they don't earn enough to qualify for a mortgage, and that's getting particularly exacerbated over the last couple of years because, as everybody knows, the housing market has gone through the roof, and you really need to be earning a huge wage in order to be able to afford some of the houses that are on the market now, and that's something that we need to change. We need to change how housing schemes are built. We need to make sure the Part 5s, which are where a percentage of each housing development that is built is set aside for affordable and social housing, because I think that's the only solution that we have that can allow these people to get onto the property ladder. There's other things such as the Cree Coniha grant scheme, which is a very good grant scheme in principle. The problem is that people can't get upfront funding, so they have to find the money first of all, spend the money, and then reclaim it back from the government. I think we need to change that so that people can get upfront money, and then also I think we need to expand it to a buy and renew policy for the council, where Donegal County Council can be buying up vacant properties. I'm sure everybody has been out canvassing over the last few weeks. The amount of vacant properties out there is absolutely unreal. Like, there's houses there for everybody. We just need to find a way. What
are those houses? What anecdotally, what's the breakdown of them? I mean, obviously, according to Martin, they're not council-owned houses. Are they privately owned houses that are just simply empty? Is it tourist accommodation?
I don't think we really have too much of the holiday homes in our district and compared to some of the other ones. A lot of it would be private properties that maybe due to family issues or whatever, that they're just lying empty, or for whatever reason people don't want to rent them out. But there's when you are canvassing and knocking doors, you can see the amount of houses. It's
Martin Harley, do you want to come back in there?
Yeah, the figure for Donegal in the last census was 7,000 houses in Donegal alone that are lying vacant, and that's not holiday homes. So that's.
But I think really what people want to hear now is, how do we bring them back into use? What is the plan? Now, of course, some of this is national government stuff, some of it's local, but people are going to be voting on the answers to these questions regardless. So how do we get them back into use?
Well, the thing as well, as Gary quoted there, is getting back into the scheme. The Cree Coney is a great scheme, between 50 and 70,000, and if you're on the islands, like, it's up on 90,000, which is fantastic.
But if those houses are lying, empty for 2 years, even if they're in they're decent bungalows, people can still apply for those grants. Why aren't they then?
Yeah, well, there is something like 700 have been applied for in Donegal at the moment, and as well, I was going to say there is the credit unions now have got to go ahead to give loans as well, and I think that's very important, because the credit union, being a past chairperson of Féin Stranorlar Credit Union, I remember back 12 years ago I was chair of it, and I remember that at that stage those houses were you could have bought houses at them for around 40,000-50,000, and I remember that time we were trying to get you're paying that for cars now, you're getting a car loan now for that kind of money, but we were trying to get people on the property ladder at the time. But then at the time, the overall central bank stopped the credit unions that time, because they felt we were encroaching on the bank's market. But at least now they've seen sense. They're allowing the credit unions to give out.
The credit unions want that expanded actually to increase to 15% of their assets for the bigger ones. Martin, another Martin here, Martin Scanlon. It only takes me two goes to get it right. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, I believe that the council as a whole should be taking more of a role in building SI houses out in the country again. It would. We have the land is available there, and it'll ease up houses in the towns, and it'll help populate rural areas again and make them more viable for the doctors, for the shops, keep the areas alive. Like rural Ireland's been neglected, so it is. Everyone's been forced towards towns, and there needs to be more investment put into it, including on housing.
And we're seeing that battle, aren't we, in terms of what we want from our county development plan and how that aligns to the national one. Martin's going to come in now, and then we'll have Patrick. Then we'll go back to Gary, and then I want another word from Dakota. Go ahead, Patrick.
No, just I agree very much with Gary there, because we've all been out canvassing, and particularly in this time, I've been asking neighbours, who owns that house down the road. Sometimes you like to know the house before you go to it if you don't have somebody local, but it's very apparent.
That's for a couple of reasons.
I know. But it's very apparent, all right, the amount of houses in the countryside. You could see 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 lying empty. But I particularly this time, I've been trying to get some kind of a handle on it. And the amount, even last night now, and it was a case I knew about. There's one person that I know of in hospital, and he has control over 2 houses, and he's got dementia, and the family, the walls are not sorted out. This is causing an awful lot of problems.
Yeah, that'd be the exception rather than the rule,
it's not.
though,
Actually, it's not. The amount of people that are in hospital, the amount of people that have died, the amount of disputes that's going on is absolutely serious. Because you're right, and notwithstanding you need money up front to draw down these 50, 70,000, the amount of people that cannot get legal ownership, you have to have clear title.
Okay, all right.
That is a major issue. I would say it could be 1 and 3 of the empty houses out there, and then the other one is cash flow and that. But look, the issue at the moment is the facts speaks for themselves. We are still, because of all the lobbying and the way we have framed our county development plan, and the last county development plan that we were just after adopting, it has to go back to the plan, we were asked to reduce the amount of houses in the countryside from 25% down to 20%. We have rejected that.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that can be overruled, though.
It can be overruled, but as we stand,
by your minister, Darragh O'Brien.
Well, look, he might and he might not. Let's wait and see. We'll not jump the gun before we get there. But we have a tradition in Donegal of fighting to build houses in rural countryside. The big issue, and I would agree, is I see within a year or two a lot of the social housing issues been solved. That will free up private accommodation.
Yeah, you said that already.
It doesn't deal with, as I say, the young couple or the people first time. It's getting mortgages, and some of these schemes will help to buy and so on.
Right.
But they're not everything.
Gary, come back in there. Gary Doherty.
Yeah, I think just to simplify it, when we're looking at vacant properties, there's two ways of looking at it. There's the carrot and the stick approach. We've tried the carrot approach where we're offering the Cree Coney grant, which in some instances is working, but which needs reform to allow for
What's
money
the
up
stick?
front. The stick is the vacant property levy, where anybody that has a vacant property that's lying empty, that they're
But a
not
third of those houses, according to Patrick, you wouldn't know how to put the levy on.
Well, you could still, the levy would have to be there on the property. The levy exists, so eventually the property would have to be sold or moved on at some stage. But like the property tax on a house, if you don't pay your property tax on a house, when you eventually come to sell it, or your descendants come to sell it, they have to pay the property tax. And I think a vacant property levy.
Right, I was want to bring.
Gary, that. I would also say that we need to bring the legal people in here. People, and I'm sure we all would agree with.
Yeah.
The people's hands is tied.
But you will excuse my cynicism, but I would say there's probably 4 to 5 different schemes that I've done interviews about bringing derelict properties back in. One was you took photos of them yourself and uploaded them to a website. Don't know whatever happened to that. So until people see it, they're probably going to be a little bit reluctant to accept it.
Everybody would agree here. We have made great progress regarding these derelict buildings now and gone on and exactly what Gary.
Who's everybody? Does everyone agree with that?
I'll come on now. Their grants there are fantastic.
I can't speak for everyone, Patrick.
Cash flow doing that is a problem. But as Martin says, at least the credit unions are starting to come on. The government is reacting. They know it's no point bringing a scheme out if people can't. People do want to do it. Remember when it came out at the start, it was in towns only. They moved it out to the countryside. At the start, then you can only build it for yourself.
I get you.
Now you can build it and you can lease it. So it's the big one is cash flow. But I think the main problem is going to be affordability.
Okay, Martin, I'll come back to you. Dakota, I haven't heard from you for ages.
So just my own personal experience, I am living in a mobile home because it's the only thing I could afford, really. I was renting and the rent was just sky high. It was over $1,200 a month, which was just ridiculous.
See, the problem is, Dakota, not to cut across you and continue your point afterwards, I mean, that your payment of that rent, although it doesn't count to your ability to pay a mortgage, it's quite frustrating because you possibly could get a mortgage for 6, 7, 8. You know, it depends on term and all that kind of stuff. So you're in a mobile now. You were paying the 12, but you certainly could pay, 7 or 8. I'm sure. Not get digging into your private finances. You understand that, but all that money you paid for rent. It doesn't do you any benefit at all. I mean, there's something seriously wrong there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is definitely. It counts for nothing. And it's just, that money was just wasted because I just ended up on a mobile then, and I've no security now at all. With my mobile, but that's about it. I've no hopes of building. The cost of materials has gone skyrocketed, and there's nothing to rent in the Balbafay or Stranorlar area.
So when you hear someone say, it was Patrick, that we'll build more social houses, that'll free other houses, and then you'll get out of your mobile into one of those houses. If I were you, and this is no disrespect to you, Patrick, that's when, how. There's no target. There's no. You hope it might be the case, but it's no pathway for you out of the mobile, really, is it?
No, and it's a bit too late. There's been years without any social housing building in that area. It's way too late. It's just unrealistic, to be setting out hope that I'll have a house soon, and you just never know.
Martin, did you want to come back in? That's Martin. Just to make, I call people by the first names, and I want to make sure everyone at home knows who's talking. Independent Martin Scanlon.
Just to come back on to what Patrick was saying about the vacant house grant, and one of the major issues I would see is getting tradesmen to carry out this work. It's across the board, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, they're not to be got, and I think we need to put more emphasis on apprenticeships to get these people, to get these tradesmen that we need to carry out these works, and in return that there will help reduce costs if we have more labour in the market.
Yeah. Okay. Listen. Sorry, Martin. Do you want to come back in before the break there?
Yeah. Just coming on to Martin there on the apprenticeships. In fairness, the ETB have been doing fantastic work on apprenticeships, and they've put more schemes on place this year. They're getting more electricians. They're getting more plumbers out there as well. So that is important. That the ETB are working hard with this, and it's something that I've been kind of champion on the ETB board this last 13 years. That apprenticeships were so important, and it's back again to the crash of 2008-2009 that we're only coming back to ourselves.
There is going to have to come a point though where we stop blaming that.
Oh yeah, no, I understand totally. But
we bailed the banks out. They paid the money back, most of it. We should be moving beyond that.
Prior
now,
to 2008, we were building 60,000 houses a year in Ireland, which was at the time it was too many, and we've seen that then because we had so many
ghost estates.
So we need to be building between 30 and 40,000 houses a year realistically, and that's where we need to be.
Okay. Right, we'll be back with more from our guests, more of your input as well, of course, after we take a break. Stay where you are.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
These days, we're all looking for healthy, tasty family meals and lots of variety. The good news is that our fishermen continue to bring us the best of the catch, like fresh Irish hake and haddock. There are so many ways to enjoy them. Try delicious Thai curry with hake or mouth-watering Cajun seasoned haddock. For lots of tasty recipes and different meal ideas, visit boardbeer.ie and look out for Irish hake and haddock next time you're shopping. Fresh ideas, great meals.
Easy Living Furniture's sizzling summer sale ends this Sunday. Don't miss out as absolutely everything's reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress and accessories. Summer sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
Discover the ultimate gastropub experience at Sister Sarah's in Letterkenny. Treat yourself to their irresistible menu featuring grill night on Thursdays and Sarah's all-new barbecue Fridays. Plus, enjoy live sports daily, live music on weekends and private function rooms for your special occasions. Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love from Wednesday through to Sunday.
You might be surprised by the working family payment. For many working parents, covering the everyday costs of family life can be a stretch. But there's some good news. The working family payment is money the government pays to working parents, depending on their level of income and how many children they have. To find out if you qualify, visit gov.ie/WFP. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
Experience the GAA Ring, Racquet and Mar Hurling Finals in Croke Park this Sunday. It's Fermanagh v Longford in the Lowry Mar Cup Final at 12:15, with Kildare v Derry in the Christie Ring Cup Final at 2:15, and Donegal v Mayo in the Nicky Racquet Cup Final at 4:15 p.m. The GAA Hurling All-Ireland Senior Championship. Experience the unforgettable. Advanced ticket sales only at gaa.ie or selected centre and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
The Highland Radio Hoolie to Salou is getting closer. Join me, David James, and a host of Ireland's top artists for a week of fun in the sun. Staying for 7 nights in the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Gerada Hotel with non-stop entertainment morning, noon and night. But hurry, we only have a limited number of places available. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime this September. To book, call Country Music Tours on 074 91 19 955. We'll see you in Salou.
Swing into summer with McGurk's Golf Letterkenny. Ladies and gents clothing, buy one and get a second at half price. Free track band custom fitting, helping you choose the perfect club for you. Don't miss out on these unbeatable deals. Available for a limited time only. Visit McGurk's Golf Letterkenny Retail Park today.
Do you think about your legacy and what you want to leave behind? You know, I've had a great life. My childhood was filled with love and support. But not every child is that fortunate. Many face poverty and adversity on a daily basis. So I'm leaving Bernardo's Ireland a gift in my will, to pass on the chance of a brighter future to these children. Visit bernardos.ie/pass it on to get involved and make a difference.
Be a winner and view the trophy collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Full colour awards, glass and crystal, perpetual cups and shields, sports awards, metal cups and medals. Whatever the occasion, click bmcsports.ie. Budget medals for sports days with personalised inserts to promote your club and school. Full engraving service available at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
If you're aged 80 or over or have a weak immune system, it's time to get your COVID-19 Spring Booster vaccine. Your Spring Booster will top up your immunity against COVID-19 and help protect you from serious illness for the months ahead. It's recommended you get your booster before the end of May. Talk to a participating GP or pharmacist today, or call our HSC Live team on 1800 700 700. Visit hsc.ie for more information. From the HSC.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With over 50 years of serving the community in Donegal, McElhinney's is proud to be part of every moment, big and small. Support local, shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
Okie doke, cloudy and breezy start with this morning with scattered showers, though we're told it will brighten up through the afternoon as the showers die out and sunny spells break through. Highest temperatures 12 to 15 degrees. Greg, can you ask Martin Harley why he never goes door to door in the run up to the elections? We're in the Knock area and they've had knocks from Patrick McGowan, Martin Scanlon and others in the last few weeks. Is it that he's so sure of his seat that he feels this isn't necessary in the Knock area?
Keeping the good wine to the last.
Right, okay, so you will be up?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
indeed.
right.
Definitely so.
Here's an interesting question. If you don't mind, could you ask those candidates what do they class as affordable housing? Dakota, can I come to you first on that, if you don't mind? Like, we do talk of affordable housing, but I'm not exactly asking you to put a figure on it, but it is an interesting question.
Well, affordable has to be within your range, so Sinn Féin have committed that they will deliver affordable housing. So in year one we have about 13,000 affordable houses and 8,000 social houses. Looking at figures, it's probably under 300,000 or so.
Yeah, and I suppose it's really what can be afforded on your average wage, isn't it?
Yeah, like in Donegal, obviously it's going to be a different price to what you would be getting in Dublin, as the wages are different prices. So,
many of you have talked about the provision of services in the area. Obviously, the situation in St Joseph's Hospital is ever present. What respite services available for the area, but also in terms of services for people with disabilities. CDNP, obviously, it's an ever-present problem right across the county. Gary Doherty, I'll go to you first on that. I mean, that's a broad church. You can pick and choose from that as you see fit.
Yeah, well, I think, look, the two community hospitals are something that we've been...
That's Lifford and St Joseph's.
Sorry, Lifford and St Joseph's. St Joseph's, they're something that we've been fighting for probably 15 years now at this stage, since the closure of those hospitals was announced initially, and it was only through community action that those hospitals were saved, and we still need to fight for the proper investment at those two hospitals that we need. Lifford desperately needs that new site, that new build on the Greenfield site that we have secured already through Donegal County Council. We simply need the go-ahead from the Department of Health to go and build that hospital. That's absolutely imperative for Lifford. And the same for St Joseph's. We need the same investment in St Joseph's that we were promised back in 2016.
Why is it a constant battle, or it feels like it's a constant battle just to retain, what are basic services, and them being where they are eases pressure on LUH as well, of course?
Well, look, it's a cliche now at this stage that we're the forgotten county, but I believe it. I totally believe that we are the forgotten county, and the political will simply is not there. We've had the same government since 2011. Fianna Gael have been there since 2011. They've been supported by Fianna Fáil since 2016. Ministers after minister after minister has promised that these things are going to happen, and they still haven't happened. I can't answer for that, but those ministers should be able to answer for that, and why that investment hasn't been forthcoming.
Martin Scanlon, this is an issue important to you as well.
Yeah, well, St Joseph's, I believe, is not getting proper funding. It needs to be... services need to be retained in it and brought back to it, even services that have left, like the physio. And I would be looking to get more services into it. Like, you take the likes of Dunlow, where you can have an x-ray done, get your eyes tested, so simple things like that would ease pressure on Letterkenny, and it would even stop the traffic flow to Letterkenny. Like, it's a community hospital that should be used within the community for its purpose.
Yeah, because of course that includes step down, doesn't it? I mean, people want to their non-acute care to continue to their care as close as they can to their own community.
Yeah, and the step down one will be a big one, and people that are in the community hospital and St Joseph's, they need to be moved from that area. Like, we have people in Dunlow Hospital from Stranorlar, and people from Stranorlar going to Dunlow. Somebody needs to sit down and have a look at this and bring people back to their areas where they're from, where their own peers are, just for a social inclusion, that they can talk to people and have a way of life that they were used to.
Okay, I'll come back to you if you raise your hand if you want to add something. I suppose Martin Harley, a lot of the problems being put at the door of Fine Gael there by Gary Doherty.
Yeah, I suppose in fairness, St Joseph's have had a lot of investment. There's, as I say, I'm on the committee of St Joseph's this last 15 years since I went into politics, and we meet regularly. We met this week, even on Tuesday night. There again, we have a meeting now every 6 weeks that we have decided that this, to keep on top of things, that we just don't meet when a crisis hits. So we're having these. We get an update now every 6 weeks
from the HSE.
Well, there's notes comes from the HSE
because, as you would know, with the last crisis where they announced changes to the facilities available at St Joseph's, no one found out in advance. That was just dropped on everybody.
Yeah, even the committee ourselves, we didn't even know about that. That was just announced. The media knew it before we, the local committee, knew it. So, but one of the things that I would kind of champion, I feel that should be done, and we talk about, Martin says there, about keeping people kind of close to their own area, but I feel we should be building more small units and areas that people could stay at home in their community longer. Like we have in Northern Ireland and England, we have like communities where people can move into a centre, like you take even Martin Cherry and Clohan, near the Clohan the Day Centre. If you could build a couple of units, the people that could come and live there, they could stay in their community longer. So instead of pushing people into community nursing homes, a lot of people, if they only got maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, that people can call into them. Even it's just even for the loneliness thing that people are passing.
But those services are available elsewhere. How do we get them? How do you use your position as councillors to put the pressure on, particularly if your party's in government, to say, right, enough is enough here. You know, we've got the solutions, we've got ideas, but we need the backing. Instead of you start engaging with this tangled mess that is the HSE.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, supposed to council there, you take the development of Trust Road in Balbafay that has 19 units in it. 16 of those units, they will be two bed apartments that are fully wheelchair accessible, that are up to speed, that will be available into the future as well, and that people can live. Like you're beside shops, you're beside the town, you're beside the churches, so that things like that there, that's what we need to be looking at. There's only 2 of those projects in Ireland. One's in Dublin, one's in Donegal. Massive investment there by the council and by the government, and I feel we need to be looking at more of that, and I think this will be a test case for other parts of the county, and I would hope that we will do some more. And as well on the hospital, like the Lifford as well, as Gary said there, we're ongoing now that 20 beds of respite care in Lifford as well going forward, so we need to get that.
But when might that be delivered?
Oh no, well, the site's there. I mean, it's not like they have to look, a lot of these projects have to looking for sites and takes years. It's like school campuses.
So the site's there.
The site's there. The council site. The council have agreed to give it to the HSE. We need to get the design work done now and get it on the table of the board of the HSE that say, right, this they've agreed. Dermot Monaghan, the head of HSE Estates, has agreed that this will go ahead. That Lifford will go ahead. So that's important. Plus a primary care centre near it as well.
Okay.
So that's very important for Lifford. A lot of investment there.
Dakota McGowan of Sinn Féin. Obviously, this is an issue very important to you as well.
Yeah, it is. So in St Joseph's, obviously we need the services back. So it's absolute disgrace that we have lost the services in our town. It's such a busy town, and to lose services like that, they're vital to our community. But we also need to increase the number of respite beds that we have available. We just need to make arrangements to have more. And then in terms of Lifford Hospital as well, I actually was at their AGM recently, and I'd have to say me and Tony McDade were the only election people that turned up.
Either sitting or candidates.
Yeah, or candidates, sorry. And they spoke to us about their concerns, so planning permission is the next big one for them, and they're hoping that can go as quickly as possible for them.
Yeah, Patrick McGowan.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think anybody listening in will know that the person to the fore of us would have been Councillor Jerry Crawford, when a lot of people were asking to hold on to the old building down in Lifford and tweak it and do this, that and other. Jerry been on, obviously an advantage to him, been on the HSE, and he went off and they negotiated over many, many years to get a new site. He worked through all of ourselves, and we would have all supported it here in Lifford, land that the council bought. And now, as Martin says, there's 20 beds going there, and there's going to be a primary healthcare centre. That's a plan. When they build it, I don't know, but I know Jerry Crawford spoke to that committee that the AGM the last night before he went to it. I don't know what he was on, but he is to the fore. He is the leading advocate and person for what's planned now, and I don't think anybody should take that away from him.
I don't think anyone has.
No, but I think just it'd be important for me just to advocate that. The other thing is
Jerry Crawford, by the way, was invited to our first debate but declined the invitation.
Just on as regards St Joseph's, Martin says I have attended more probably meetings than everybody in the county regarding St Joseph's. I've been actually in 3 different committees. 3 times we had heard that there could be problems there as well in St Joseph's when we met, and then the committee's disbanded. The last time now,
is it a good thing though to sort of claim that you've been at all of these meetings and yet?
Well, very important. Yeah,
is it? But we've these constant firefights to try and just hold it on. I mean, is that not a sign that maybe?
No. I think it's very important to show your commitment, even if you get into council or you're not. Remember, you don't have to be a councillor to be involved in community development. Like, you have to be there, you have to turn up, and that's very important. But just regarding St Joseph's, our last meeting, which I organised to the Minister, Chair McConnell, we got the HSE in there with Dr McCauley with about 6 members from St Joseph's Committee. We went through line by line with about 2 hours there. What they've explained to us, which we questioned at the time, there is...
Did you say Charlie McConnell was there?
No, I said which he organised.
Oh, he facilitated it. Right.
We were actually having difficulty, which I had asked, sent several emails, and there wasn't a response.
Okay, well, we'll talk about... I'll tell you what, hold that thought. We'll talk about what came from that meeting.
Yeah.
I know Gary Doherty wants to come back in, and I'm sure others do. So what we'll do, we'll take a break for the news, and we'll come back and dedicate as much time as necessary to this topic before we move on. We'll be back with you in about 5 minutes.
Be Perfect Cosmetics unveil their brand new Letterkenny mega store this Friday at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, with Love Island's Farmer Will, comedian Eric Roberts, Brenda McDowell and Jenny Woods, with DJ KAD on the decks. The first 100 customers receive a free goodie bag. The Be Perfect mega store Letterkenny launch party this Friday from 6 p.m.
Summer entertainment in the Great Northern Hotel Bundoran. Friday, July the 5th, the one and only Nathan Carter and his band, with special guest David James. Hear all your favourite Nathan Carter hits and more. Tickets $36.50 plus booking fee. On sale now from the hotel reception and Ticketmaster.ie. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
The sun's splitting the stones, so you bang on the barbecue.
2 minutes later.
There's great drying out, so you hang out the washing to save some lecky.
2 minutes later.
There's no controlling the Irish summer, but you can control your energy costs thanks to hourly insights from Prepay Power. Switch now and enjoy our €100 welcome bonus. That will brighten up your day. Prepay Power. Be energy-wise. Available for a limited time only. For T-C's and rates, see prepaypower.ie.
If you aren't quite ready to drive a full EV, you'll be going in the right direction with the Mazda CX-5. This SUV comes with fuel-saving Mazda M hybrid technology and a 6-year warranty you'll find across the entire Mazda range. Test drive the 242 Mazda range at McGinley Motors Mazda Letterkenny. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
Charge into summer with TUI. Choose from a beach cruise or city break or Mexico flying direct from Dublin. Holiday sorted. TUI, live happy.
The Donegal Senior Hurlers return to Croke Park this Sunday. Mayo provide opposition in the Nicky Rackard Cup final. Follow the action on Highland from the 4:15 start as Donegal chase a 4th All-Ireland title. Live coverage from the Nicky Rackard final between Donegal and Mayo is in association with the Northwest Premier Bathroom and Tile Store, Bathroom and Tile Boutique Bridge End. Call in and see our newly opened showroom showcasing the finest bathroom quality products.
Cooney's Home Interiors are going mattress mad this bank holiday weekend. Starting this Friday, there's 20% off all stock mattresses and 10% off all new order mattresses. Treat yourself this weekend at Cooney's Home Interiors Letterkenny Retail Park. Sale ends Monday the 3rd of June.
Need a suit for a special occasion? Visit the menswear team at McElhinney's Ballybuffet. With a collection of mix and match suiting, our team will get you fully styled for your next event. McElhinney's Ballybuffet, where you can buy or hire a suit.
Good morning, it's 11 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. With the headlines, Letterkenny Community Childcare is to lead a picket outside the Donegal County Council offices in Letterkenny on tomorrow week, June 7th, as people are voting in the European and local elections. It's to highlight the fact that they and 22 other services from across the county are affected by defective concrete blocks. On today's 9 till noon show, Taoiseach Simon Harris invited the groups to make direct contact with him and said he'll raise it with ministers on their behalf. The LCC has welcomed the Taoiseach offer, but said when they wrote to the previous Taoiseach and the Children's Minister, there were no solutions offered. You can hear the Taoiseach's full interview, by the way, on our website, highlandradio.com. Letterkenny Chamber has released its local election manifesto for 2024, outlining what it describes as a strategic vision to enhance the socio-economic and environmental landscape of Letterkenny and the wider Northwest region. Describing the document as a catalyst for discussion and debate, Chamber President Claire McDonough stressed the need for candidates to understand pressing issues and commit themselves to seeking rapid, sustained change. Donegal Action for Cancer Care is welcoming confirmation that a drug to treat amyloidosis, a rare cancer that has higher rates in Donegal than elsewhere in Ireland, is to be funded by the HSE, the manufacturers of the drug Vitristerin. Was made yesterday evening. It'll be made available by the HSE for adults with amyloidosis with stage 1 or stage 2 polyneuropathy. DACC say one of the most important things is that this injection can be administered at home rather than requiring the patient to go to hospital. Gavin Robinson has been ratified as the new leader of the DUP. He used his acceptance speech in Lisburn last night to confirm the party will not be standing candidates in Fermanagh South Tyrone or in North Down. And up to 100 tents used by asylum seekers have been removed from Dublin's Grand Canal in what's been described as a multi-agency operation. It began early this morning. It's believed 109 individuals were offered accommodation. 5 buses carrying the men left shortly before 8, and fresh barriers were erected in the area. That's Highland Radio News for now. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon. Check all of the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
Aldi with summer barbecue sizzlers now only $2.99 each, including specially selected Black Angus reduced fat 6-ounce burgers was $3.79, now only $2.99. Plus specially selected Black Angus Ultimate 6-ounce beef burgers, Butcher Selection quick cooked chicken fillets, and Butcher Selection pork belly strips worth $3.49 each, now only $2.99 each. All Board B quality assured. Go all Aldi while stocks last.
Okay, you're very welcome.
The county's number one talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Sorry, I'm so excited. You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We have our second last debate. We are focusing on the Lifford Stranorlar area. 12 candidates in total. There are 6 seats. We have Martin Scanlon, Dakota, Mheanman, Martin Harley, Patrick McGowan, Gary Doherty with us today. Niall McConnell was invited. Declined the invite, just to answer a few people texting in there. Grants for old house renovation, far below what they should be, says a listener. Another, hi Greg, I'm a private renter in the Castlefin area. I work very hard every day for my wages, but this still isn't enough to get me a mortgage. It's very disheartening to see so many vacant houses in the Finn Valley that could potentially be someone's forever home. And I think our guests today have kind of echoed that. And it's not just in the Finn Valley area. That's a message that's come across from every electoral area. Patrick McGowan, sorry, you were going to just continue a point. I think it might have been important to you on the hospital.
As I said, we had a meeting there on the 13th of March, a very fruitful one. I'll just read you the first line of that, the minutes of that meeting. The meeting was held as arranged in St Joseph's Hospital. It was both positive and informative and helped clear up a lot of uncertainties for the group. So that, I'm not going into the whole details, but basically we got the committee there. We got at least 5 or 6 people from the different services, older people services, people, property managers, and so on there. We had Dr. McCauley as well.
Okay, but just on that point, if I could just cut to it, what is coming from that meeting as it relates to dental services, the maternal dental services, physiotherapy, occupational services, all the services that people are currently having to travel to Donegal Town and to Lifford from. So what came from that?
Just to give a thing about a context, the reason all of this come about was there was a HEC report done last year. There was no mention of fire safety. There was another one done in January. They come on red alert, and that was the word they used, red alert. So all of the units within St Joseph's had to be done up, and immediately they started to move the services, the ones that could move out. You can't move out the patients, obviously, nowhere to go. So what they done on a temporary basis, they moved half the people getting physio from outside. They were going to go to Donegal Town, the other half delivered. They're temporary. they'll be moved
So
back.
when's that?
That's number one. They have been moved out. When they're going to come back is when the HSE has the fire works done within St Joseph's.
Have that begun?
They're working at them since that. Number one. Number two, what they've done as well, the HSE are now looking at not having everything on site. They don't want to bring in a lot of outside patients and treatments into the setting of a hospital, probably coming from what happened during COVID and that. They don't see the need for it there. So they're actually actively looking, number one, for a site within Ballybofey. I know they're negotiating.
But the email I got was for within the Finn Valley area.
Yeah, no, the latest we have and what we were told at that meeting, first of all, they were hopeful of actually, there's an old building within the St Joseph's Hospital site. I don't believe that's my information up until yesterday. I don't believe that's suitable. But they're at advanced stage of negotiating with a property owner and Stranorlar.
Okay. Now, you've had a lot of time on this, Patrick. I want to bring others in. Do you want to quickly wrap up your point?
First of all, the plan is as well, they're actually going to change from 3 wards up to 4 wards, reconfiguring. They're moving from 3-4 bedroom wards down to there'll be two bedrooms in each room, double rooms and that. There's a lot of plans. This is something that we will be keeping a close eye on. As I say, we have regular meetings. We're not, in the past we probably were taking a lot on trust. That is no longer. We will watch and we'll keep an eye.
Gary Doherty, come back in there. You wanted to come back in. Sinn Féin.
I just wanted to broaden the discussion when we're talking about health, and I think we need to talk about Letterkenny Hospital as well, because while it's not in our MD,
it's your hospital.
It's our hospital, exactly, and it serves everybody in Donegal. And the fact is that 100 GPs and consultants came out last year and said that the state of Letterkenny Hospital was not good enough, that it was unsafe, that it was overstaffed, understaffed, and overcrowded. And that's simply not good enough. We need to see changes in Letterkenny Hospital. We need to see changes in how we look at healthcare. And one of the things we need to be prioritising, I think, is how we look at community healthcare and treating people in the community, preventing people from having to go to the emergency department and blocking beds, basically, where we simply don't have the beds anyway. Letterkenny, as we
Just
know.
on that, is St Joseph's still the default step down from Letterkenny University Hospital? Is that still the case?
It is a step down facility.
One of many.
One of many. But my point, what I'm saying is it step down from anywhere. You could be from anywhere in the county. You could be moved to St Joseph's currently still.
Yeah, Letterkenny to Ballybofey, and the people in Ballybofey end up going Cairndonagh.
Yeah, or Dunlow, I think Martin said. Go ahead, finish your point, Gary, and I'm going to bring Martin back in then as well.
Yeah,
our other Martin
It
Scanlon.
was just to make the point that Letterkenny has 5 critical care beds, and there's only 1 extra bed for overflow and no high dependency unit.
Now, the government has announced the provision of a number of additional beds for the hospital.
But we need more. Like Letterkenny is currently a Model 3 hospital. Now, I understand the way hospitals have to be, that we need Model 3 hospitals, but given our geographic location and where we are in the country and the amount of people that are using Letterkenny University Hospital, I think there's a rational case to be made to make Letterkenny a Model 4 hospital, because the statistics prove that you're more likely to attract consultants who will transfer to Letterkenny if it's a Model 4 hospital, rather than the model that we have at the minute, which is Model 3, where it's harder to keep those consultants in place.
Martin Scanlon,
just to come back in on like the day hospital in St Joseph's, like that there would need to be returned for the people of the community, to give them somewhere to go, allow them to stay in their homes, and they can go and get their services that they need, that they might not have at their homes. And we need to be looking at more home help packages too, for people to keep them in their homes. 20 minutes to half an hour is not sufficient to do anything in a home for people. And the home helps, they do great work, but they're just in and out. I remember from my own experience, my mother done home help, and it was an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, and there was 10 or 15 minutes to talk to the person too, and that's done away with. It's just more of a service now, and there's no community spirit about it. It needs to be brought back to the way it was.
Okay. Just to did anyone else want to come in on that? We can come back to it, but
yeah. Well, I suppose just on, I suppose Martin touched on it there. The the home help is a big issue. It's getting people that there's a lot of people throughout the county and throughout our area that have been granted home help, but it's getting the staff then to staff it, and I think that's a big issue. Letterkenny Hospital, I think the Tisha was on this morning with you, said that there'll be an extra 3,000 overall extra staff within the health service over the next number of years. That's important. The new Letterkenny Hospital, which will allow for step down as well, that will free up beds within the general hospital as well, and it's getting staff to relocate to the northwest. That is an issue, unfortunately, but I think probably in Gary's mind, if it was up as a grade 4 hospital, it may attract. That's
been said in the CDNT area, still not filling the vacancies though, but extra money was put in to try and incentivise people coming to Donegal. There's been limited success in that. I don't know why we can't do it across the health service if we can do it with CDNT. Patrick, you wanted to come back in before we move on?
I believe and agree with both previous speakers as well about Letterkenny Hospital, and I did listen to yourself and the Tisha this morning.
Nice, isn't it, that he speaks to me? He doesn't think I'm too anti-government, which I think is quite nice.
He doesn't listen to you every day, though.
Oh no, he listens to me. He listens to me plenty, Michael. He listens to me plenty, and I don't hold anything against anyone. Go on.
I know. Come here. No, listen. I listened to him this morning, and it's very good he's taking an interest. Doesn't matter who the Tisha, as long as they take an interest. The Minister Donnelly was down here a couple of months ago. You remember?
He was on the show as well.
The primary healthcare centre in Donegal Town is very good, and I had an opportunity to him, and I did say to him, we do feel like the forgotten county here, and I give him some of the details as to why we feel like years ago we felt the troubles held us back, we're cut off.
Right, okay.
But I think the other thing I just wanted to make was regarding the home helps. They're complete. I think the HSE themselves are not giving enough effort into it. It only costs about a tenth of what it is to keep somebody. The cost factor alone, the benefit of keeping somebody in their own home, plus the feel-good factor. People want to stay in their own homes.
But the logic, you see, this is what people don't understand, right? You have more funded and staffed step-down package. You have more. You look after people as much as you can in their own community. You better resourced GPs so people can get an appointment, a timely appointment. That takes the pressure off Letterkenny University Hospital. The logic is really very, 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 very simple.
And if you follow Martin's point as well, what we're proposing there, say for Cloughan, and we spoke to John Gallagher a number of times up there as main, but this is actually what's actually been proposed. Just to Habitat in Castlefan and Scanlon, Lifford. You not only have older people living together, but you also have a sheltered housing unit where you can different services can come in and work together. But you need the home help. At the moment, the home help are doing great work, but they say that they're not recruiting them or they're not getting them, but I actually believe myself that the home help workers are not being well treated by the HSE. I think that they don't value them the same as nurses and other hospital staff, and I feel very strongly about that.
Okay, Dakota, did you want a final word on that? Dakota Mheanman?
I would just like to state about Lifford that Patrick McLaughlin did bring an update to them about getting the new site to Lifford. But that's about that. Just about the recruitment embargo that we have with the HSE as well. Like, I was talking to one lady and she's a psychotherapist, and she said she's number 1 on the waiting list to get a job and with the HSE, but that she's been on it for months and they just keep telling her we can't recruit you because we're not allowed to.
Right, so we've a psychotherapist ready to go to work, and she can't get in because of the embargo. Martin, Harley?
Yeah, well, I think the Taoiseach cleared that up this morning about the embargo.
Yeah, but that was in a different area than Dakota's referencing, I think.
Yeah, oh no, yeah, but overall, like within the HSE, I mean the embargo, it wasn't really, it's not really clarified to the public the way the embargo works. They're still allowed to bring on an extra 3,000 this year, like, so it's not. There's spaces are available there.
Martin, the other Martin with us, Martin Scanlon.
Just on health before you move on there.
No, we can come back. It's not a but I do want to hear what you have to say.
It's just towards GPs and rural areas. Like they need to be given more incentive to come to rural areas, whereas you have in a town maybe you have 4 or 5 GPs working out of the one building. They're sharing expenses, sharing secretaries. In the rural communities, you might have one doctor run the entire practice by himself, and we need to be looking at succession for these GPs. In my own area, we have a GP that he's hoping to retire, I'm sure, within the next few years, and there's nothing in place. It probably will be within the lifetime of this council that he will be retiring, and if we don't get someone there'll be a void left there, and if we don't get somebody to fill that, we're going to end up where we're going to go to Féin, Stranorlar's practice, and which
So
is
you're saying
overrun as
if
it is.
there's not a continuance of that service, if there's a gap at all, it could just be lost.
Well, it needs to be looked at now before, when we have 2 or 3 years, to bring somebody into that area and make it attractive to them to come there.
Okay, Gary Doherty, Sinn Féin.
Yeah, look, the simple fact is we're living in a country that has a €9 billion surplus, yet we have a health service that has a current recruitment embargo. How does that make sense to anybody?
Is that not an admittance that the HSE is such a basket case that we can't just keep chucking money at it?
Well, in principle, that's fine, but remember, we're moving to the regional health model. So the HSE as a single body will soon be coming to an end, and perhaps we'll see changes in that regard. But to have a recruitment embargo in the HSE, it's simply not good enough. And there are examples within the health service of where there's a will, there's a way. And I know you had Gary and Kate from the Letterkenny Pathfinder service on a few weeks ago. Like, that's a fantastic
and
service.
They are so keen to see that retained and expanded.
Yeah, because it's a pilot project. That's not happening everywhere else in the country. But what it's doing is it's allowing those paramedics and the community paramedics to visit patients in the community and do blood testing there and then, which is allowing them then to make a decision.
People go to Letterkenny and sit for 17 hours to get on that trip.
Or not. And the second thing, just to point out about the ED, is that other areas in the country have a minor injury unit where if you have a broken arm, for example, you go to the minor injury unit. You don't go to ED. Whereas in Letterkenny, we don't have that.
Everybody did that 30 years
ED.
ago in the Donegal. 40. How long ago? It must be 45 years ago. Believe it or not, that I had to go and you know, in the local hospital, went in and got X-rayed and stitches.
Yeah,
that was 35 years ago.
Like, everybody that's listening to us and watching us this morning will have experience of going into the ED, and no harm to the staff on there, but you'll be sitting on those hard plastic chairs waiting to get in through the magic double doors, and then when you think you go through there, you're going to be treated. You might be sitting on the floor.
Just in relation to the apprenticeship, and I meant to say this at the time, but a couple of listeners have pointed this out. Martin Harley, I think you referenced them. They're pushing out the apprenticeships to 5 or 6 years rather than the 3. It is the 6, isn't it? That is putting people off, right? That there was something there that potentially could work, and now it's not. And also, too, that, you know, how can we ensure that we're not just training people up to take their expertise and move to another country? We never want to stop people spreading their wings and exploring, don't get me wrong, but can you see the logic of making it such a big commitment, a 6-year commitment for an apprenticeship? We need them now, and I mean, obviously we want them properly qualified, right? But there has to be another way.
Oh yeah, we do need them now. We need them yesterday, not even now. And that is I don't agree with pushing out 6 years. Definitely not, because I know I have a son of my own that's doing an electrical apprenticeship at the moment, and when you're 19 years of age, even the fact of 3 years even seems a long time when you're 19. It's different when you get to our age. But you know, we do need the staff. I do feel that the extra courses that have been there will help in the long term. Short term, we have a difficulty. The thing about training them up when they go on, that is something we have it with our teachers, we have it with our nurses. I mean, that's a lot of them. People go away for a few years. Everybody likes to travel for a few years when you're that age, but a lot of them come back again and tour. So people are coming back a lot of people are heading away, but a lot of people are coming back as well, because when they decide that they want to start a family, they feel that Ireland is the best place to be to start a family, and that's why people go away when they are young, but they do come back again, and them skills will come back into the community again and into the workforce. So the fantastic work that EPB and the apprenticeship programs that they're doing there, we will reap the benefits into the future.
Martin Scanlon, have you anything to say on that? Of course, because you were talking about we need the I think you said we need the skill set to sort of do this work.
Yeah, we need to train more people, and the fact that it's been pushed out for another 2 years will put people off doing that. Like, it's
a huge commitment, isn't it?
It is a huge commitment, like to put 6 years of your life to, and an apprenticeship is, you know, it'll be seen as being poorly paid, you know. For training for 6 years, like, and when you're trying to maybe save up for a mortgage to get your deposit, like, it's not going to work. Maybe been 25 years of age before you would get an achievement in your field. So I do believe the 4 years was sufficient, to train people. They've been trained for years, for 4 years, so why not leave it at that?
Okay, another area, keen to see you guys. Go ahead, yep.
I had some experience in that, and I worked for a while in the LA, or the Foss Centre in Letterkenny before I went on to, I was a tradesman. I used to help train people. In that time, they were changing models between the English
But
model.
manpower, wasn't it?
No, it was Foss. It was, they were changing from the model of City and Guilds over to Ireland and in Europe, and didn't know. But I think we should have a dual model there, that we should actually be able to do maybe what that time it was. You're in City and Guilds, you're on a year, and then you could do an advanced course, and then they were talking about apprenticeships. And I agree with Martin here, right? Leading it out isn't productive, not in the short term. And I think some people will go, if it was a year and a half, and you get site experience, and that's what you used to be doing before. You were in the centre for 6 months, and you went out in the site, or you went out a couple of days a week. So I think we should have a dual model, both the apprenticeship and the other, and let the people, whether it's in forestry, we also have the same challenge actually in childcare. There's people running childcare tell me that you have to go on now and do the courses. You can actually do your experience and working in childcare actually in there.
Yeah, but when you get fully qualified in childcare, you don't get paid properly.
You can do well, and this is what I'm been told by childcare providers, that you could do your year, your training, and then you can do your own in situ training, get paid, and still take a day, a week or two, and come back. And this is the kind of thinking we need. We need to think the here and now.
Martin, Harley, did you want to come back in there?
Yeah, just a quick point as well, because we have a lot of talk about immigration, but there's a unit within the DLDC there, the Employment Engagement Department there, and they're coordinating with Ukrainian people that are coming to the country, and they're getting an idea of what their their skills are, and they're putting them into getting them involved with employers. So there's a lot of work going on there as well. So instead of looking at where this is terrible for the country, this is good for the country, what can happen there. The only one thing as well is that probably the language barrier, that is an issue, but there's a lot of courses going on that they'll be trained in the basic English.
But there's not enough of those according to those within those communities that I talk of. When we talk about building houses, just briefly, one concern I have is that do we have the sewer public services infrastructure for the heady plans that we might have going forward? There's a lot of deficits in these areas, and I think in a lot of areas of this county, what's actually going to hold us back, it's not the will, it's the way, in terms of actually having the infrastructure to build the houses that were being promised. Gary, did you want to talk about that, Gary Doherty?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge issue, and it's something that, look, I suppose as local councillors, that's one area that we all have
we don't want to be held to ransom by Scanlon.
No, absolutely no. But it's something that we as local councillors have to make representations on behalf of the constituents that we represent. And one of the visions that Sinn Féin have as part of our housing policy is that we mentioned affordable housing earlier on, and how do we get people onto the housing market. Our idea is that if the state were to purchase land, the state services the land, so the state will bring the sewers, the water, the electricity, the broadband. They put all the services into the site. The home itself then can actually be sold at an affordable price to the person that wants to buy it, but the state would still retain ownership of the site. The person owns the house, the state owns the land, and I think, look, that's a more sustainable way of working, I think, than what we're doing at the minute, where we're just leaving it to private developers, and we don't have a master plan really. One, like, I've been canvassing in Convoy over the last few weeks. People in Convoy have been complaining about this for years, that there's been development after development, but no master plan for the town to make sure that development is managed
and sustainable. Presumably, Martin Scanlon, independent.
Just on infrastructure there, you're talking about bringing in for new builds. I think we need to be investing too in infrastructure where we have houses in rural Ireland. We have a large section up in Glenfin where there's no public water for maybe 3 miles of it services almost 50 houses. You have Mheanman that's looking for a water scheme, and in my own area over in Stranorlar, we have water there, but over the past few years we've had ongoing issues day in, day out, that there's been no pressure. So we need to keep the infrastructure we have, upgrade it, maintain it, broadband in the rural parts of the country too. If we learned anything from COVID, it was the fact that we were able to work from home and get the things done. But without simple services like broadband, we're not going to get people working from home in rural Ireland. And I think that needs to be looked at. And people are being told it's going to be 2026 before they're going to get broadband to their house. And it's not acceptable in this day and age, to wait another 2 years for it.
Patrick Moran,
again, I suppose it's probably government strategy and plans, and Irish Water as well is starting to invest in the big towns. As you know, the Letterkenny, Donegal town, Féin, Stranorlar is just completing massive development and sewerage there. It'll take for the next 20-30 years. God knows it'll be there for.
We don't all want to live there.
No, and I know that the other point I would make is the point we made earlier. When people build in a rural countryside, they provide a lot of these services themselves, and they're well maintained. A proper septic tank and a proper site is as good as anything. Their big problem is the villages, because we have a county development plan that's trying to give quotas into smaller villages, and that's where we have challenged this, particularly in the present county development plan, is a lot of the smaller towns like Castlefun don't have the proper. They've just enough. We have Habitat, who's got as tendered. It's been just approved there now for 34 houses, and that back in the day, in 15 years, 16 years ago, they're actually looking at other sites, and I advised them to go on that one simply because that one already had planning.
Yeah.
Now to be replanning. We have the same issues in Lifford. The treatment plants are just about covering what's there at the moment, but they don't.
Well, that's the problem. You say, how do you expand?
Your own words were being held to ransom about, but there is investment. And look, it's not surprising that they're going to develop the big towns with sewerage and infrastructure first, and then the smaller ones. But if they're seriously about stopping one-off houses and putting them into towns and villages, then they are going to have to up the ante and start putting infrastructure into villages as well. All of the infrastructure is not just sewage.
Right, okay, we're going to take a break now, which means then we pretty much then can run to the end of the show. It is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio, and we are at our second last local election debate. We're in the Lifford Stranorlar area, and we have 5 of the candidates contesting 6 seats, isn't it? Yeah, there's 12 in total, 5 today. All right, back after these.
Find the sunshine at McElhenny's and Ballybuffet. Shop in store and discover thousands of discounted lines with at least 20% off. Purchase any eligible discounted product with the sunshine on it to be in with a chance of winning a holiday worth €1,500 in collaboration with Atlantic Travel Letterkenny. Don't miss out. Visit us in store at McElhenny's Ballybuffet and find your sunshine.
These days, we're all looking for healthy, tasty family meals and lots of variety. The good news is that our fishermen continue to bring us the best of the catch, like fresh Irish hake and haddock. There are so many ways to enjoy them. Try delicious Thai curry with hake or mouth-watering Cajun seasoned haddock. For lots of tasty recipes and different meal ideas, visit boardbeer.ie and look out for Irish hake and haddock next time you're shopping. Fresh ideas, great meals.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be looking how Microfinance Ireland can help local businesses, some of the great Food Coast Donegal events in the months ahead, and degrees with the first year free of fees at the Donegal ETB before you go to the ATU. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office team to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to lower prices to heat up your bank holiday weekend. Spice things up with our Board Beer quality assured Fire Pit Hellfire Burgers, now 3 for €10. Cool Off with Coke Zero 18 pack was €17, now €10. And selected Pringles, now half price. Save time, shop online or click and collect. Tesco. Every little helps. Product subject to availability. Prices vary in express stores. Deposit may apply. See tesco.ie.
Due to continued expansion, Louis Walsh Opticians in the Courtyard Letterkenny are now seeking optical sales assistance. Previous experience is preferred, but full training will be given. Apply with CV to info@louiswalshopticians.ie.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Designed to turn heads, the new Renault Arcana E-Tech Full Hybrid reinvents the sports SUV. With a streamlined silhouette, raised ground clearance and restyled grille, it combines a dynamic shape with a spacious interior, enhanced by a large boot, and delivers up to 1,000 kilometres per tank. It also has up to 15 advanced driver assistance systems for everyday comfort. Order your new 242 Renault Arcana now at Highland Motors, Letterkenny.
No matter how many elections you have behind you,
or if you have your first election just ahead of you, every new election is the most important one yet.
that is the beauty of democracy in Europe.
European elections, 7 June. Use your vote, or others will decide for you.
Testing. Do you need to get your hearing tested? Test your hearing with a free sample hearing aid from Hidden Hearing. Order your free sample hearing aid today. Call 1-800-370-000 or visit hiddenhearing.ie.
The Shamrock Tenors are Northern Ireland's premier folk and traditional group. They bring their new show to the Millennium Forum on Saturday 22nd of June for one night only. Don't miss it. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
Single-use plastics must be avoided. They're bad for the environment and bad for your health. If you're offered plastic cutlery, plates, stirrers or straws...
No, thanks.
Polystyrene food and drinks containers...
No, thanks.
Plastic cotton buds or balloon rods...
No, thanks.
If you're a retailer, takeaway or party shop, these single-use plastics are banned. Refuse to buy them from your supplier. Visit mywaste.ie to find out more. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland and mywaste.ie.
It's your fault. You deserve it. It's all in your head. They don't mean it. They can change. Recognizing male domestic abuse can be hard. Seeking support can be harder. For confidential advice and support, free phone the National Male Advice Line on 1-800-816-588. MAL, more than just a helpline.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Lots of you texting in, and I'm sort of incorporating a lot of your points as we go through this. I hope you recognise that. I want to move back to Dakota Mheanman, who's running for Sinn Féin, and talk about safer communities. I know that's something that you did want to talk about, and there's sort of a lot encompassed within that, Dakota. So when you talk about that, what are the areas of attention that you believe need to be looked at?
So with the last 13 years or so of Fine Gael in government, there's definitely less Gardaí on the streets and less Garda stations are opened. So I know even in our own town it's hard to get the guards in at times in Balbafay, and that's a big town, like, so people just don't feel safe in their communities anymore. We definitely need more recruits, so Sinn Féin have made that promise they would hire 1,000 new recruits every year, and we put a plan in place to retain these guards. So it's community safety is a big one, and look, we need to be hitting that, and playgrounds and stuff too. Like, it's about keeping them well maintained and making sure there's no antisocial behaviour going on and all that kind of stuff. And has there been, do you sense an increase in concern in the community over safety? There is definitely, yeah, because like where our town park is at the minute, so we have the one in Ardmacool, like that's like that would be an area with a lot of older residents, and they are concerned about the park, about like youth drinking in it and whatnot, and it's definitely something that needs to be tackled and can't keep going on in our community. Like, I know when I take my 1-year-old down to it, there's always like ones in like 16, 17 that are just kind of sitting around the swings, and you're almost intimidated to tell them, can you move off it? Like, yeah. So, do you think too then, as part of that, maybe there needs to be a little bit more around the twin towns to occupy the in-betweeners, the teens? Yeah, like there's a lot more that could be done to highlight all the, like, we have a lot in the twin towns. We have a lot of soccer clubs and football, Gaelic, everything, but in the youth clubs as well, I think they need to be more highlighted, and I think they definitely need more funding, the youth clubs, to keep them going. So we're not at the point yet where you'd be reluctant to take your 1-year-old down to the play park, but you know, you don't mind facing up to people effectively. Yeah, like I don't mind going down, but I know like any of like grandparents would be more concerned than my age group of going down to the play park, but grandparents taking their grandchildren down, it's them that's more concerned for their safety. Martin Scanlon, did you want to come in on that?
Just on that, like I've been getting it at the doors that unless you are involved in a football group or a group like that, there, sport, really. A sport group, involved in a sport group, there's nothing actually there in between. Like, you have youth groups and that, but there's people that's falling between the stools, 17 to 19 year olds, that they have nothing to occupy them. So I believe we need to look at something that we could bring to the area to keep them going. Like, when you go above 17, 18, 19 year old, the next place they have is a pub, for socialising. So I wouldn't be encouraging that at that age. So we need to put something in place there for them to keep them out of the pub. And sorry to be cutting across in Martin's business there, but
no, he sells Coke and 7-Up. Don't worry about that. Gary Doherty, I suppose there's a couple of issues there. I mean, there is you want a situation, particularly I think in public spaces, that people feel safe, but secondly, to a wider sense in the community that there's not as many police, not as much policing about as there should be.
Well, that's true. Because look, since 2011 there's been a drastic reduction in the number of Gardaí that we have on the streets, yet there's been a drastic increase in the population of our country, so that doesn't tally. So it stands to reason that communities don't have the visible Garda presence that they need. Anecdotally, when you're out on the canvas and when you're talking to people, nobody can remember the last time that they seen a Garda checkpoint. And Garda checkpoints are something that we need, because like at municipal district meetings, at council meetings, we're always talking about issues like speeding, and no matter how many signs you might put up warning drivers to slow down, nothing will slow them down quicker than seeing either the Go Safe van or a Garda checkpoint.
And we've seen that outside schools, whereby parents and guardians and teachers feel they're taking their lives into their hands.
You simply don't see the checkpoints anymore because there aren't enough Gardaí. And as Dakota rightly said, Sinn Féin have a plan to invest in 1,000 more Gardaí over the course of the next government, and I think that's absolutely imperative.
Yeah, but we need them up here, though. We don't need them going to the next. Yeah,
absolutely. They need to be spread around the country, and there needs to be an equitable share.
I think you can only I don't think you can enforce that. I think you can only stress that because of the space that's required between government and police. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I would certainly support everything there, and I do. Like, there is a difference here on criminals and what goes on sometimes at night and within some of our estates, and the drugs and the carry on, and say what's going on with youthful boys just looking for something, or girls and our playgrounds, and really the playgrounds are for children up to 12 years of age. We have signs on the wall. I've been involved in every playground RMD these last 20 years, and we have more funding, and we're doing something that I lobby big time. We maintain the one at the base there across the road in McGowan. We do our best, but we need backup from parents and everybody else to try it. We used to get that. Parents now are reluctant to get involved as volunteers, because sometimes you go on at night, say at 9 o'clock, you're going to lock the place up because you don't want boys coming in, antisocial behaviour. Well, a lot of the parents that do the locking up, they get abuse then from other people. So look, there's a big social issue going on here, but really get into the more serious crime thing. And yes, I agree, Fianna, Gael, everybody's promising more guards. We need them in Donegal, not just in the cities. And they have again, it's like a lot of things. The funding goes to and resources are going to the high populated areas first. But the big issue I would have, and I have it in my canvas card, and I've always talked about it, is about what we're doing with the criminals, the people that are out that dealing with drugs, antisocial behaviour, terrorising every estate in the county, every town, and what we're doing with the punishments not fitting the crime. The victim ends up being the criminal, and the criminal then is just crying tears up to Dublin, colour TVs, back out again in time to another crime and back in. I've been saying it for years. I've called for hard labour. That we need to start taking the gloves off and start dealing with criminals. And make it very clear, everybody, any one of us and any one of our children can make a mistake. There's no love as angels. Anything can happen. But people that persistently go out and cause havoc,
would you take
the gloves off?
Would you take off, or at least try and recruit down the line, free legal aid?
I don't look, there's things that we can do, we can't. You can't do that. You can't be guilty until you prove yourself.
But you're not going to. Yeah, but if we're going to do that, you're not going to get them out breaking rocks with pickaxes either.
No, but look, I simply think when people are found and legally found and go to court and are found guilty. When the Gardaí have done their job and have done it time and caught the same people red-handed time and time again, it's time the courts up the game and start to deal with these people, because they're no sooner in than they're back out. It's the same people doing the same thing.
Okay,
It's no wonder people coming up and maybe coming from very difficult social backgrounds thinking, well, sure, this is the way they go. They look at the boys with the big cars and the big money, and
they aspire to that. I get you.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
and I think that's why there was new laws. There was new laws introduced to have greater punishment for those that bring young people into crime or lives of crime. You indicated you want to come back in there, Gary Doherty of Sinn Féin.
Yeah, look, restorative justice is something that I really believe in, because I think you need to make these criminals or perpetrators of crime understand exactly the impact that crime has on the people and the people in their community, and understand what the victim has gone through, and then through that process of restorative justice, I think we can try and repair their reputations and repair maybe what's going on with the perpetrators. But I think something that I would also believe in as well for more serious crimes is mandatory sentencing. I think for far too long we see serious criminals and people who have committed crimes up to and including murder getting away with sentences that are far too light through chinks in the process.
Yeah, I get you.
And they're a very specific case of a girl that we all know, Jasmine McMonagle. I just think that mandatory sentencing needs to be brought in so that situations like that don't ever happen again.
Did anyone else indicate there, Martin Harley of Fine Gael?
Yeah, just on the was touched there on the free legal aid. I mean, I feel everybody should be entitled to free legal aid once in their lifetime. Everybody's entitled to. We all can make a mistake in our life, but this, when you see cases where guys are up and they've got 58 and 59.
It's sometimes then cases. You feel like they appear on a website or whatever, and it's almost like a badge of honour. Yeah, it's not actually. See, if for a lot of people, that would be the worst thing could ever happen, but for others, it seems to be.
If they had to pay for it themselves, I think they would think about it whether they're going to commit crimes again, and if it's taken out of their money, taken out of their wages, or taken out of benefits, whatever way that this, I think they would be thinking twice again. But they walk up and they get solicitors, they get barristers, all for them, everything paid for. They don't care less, and then they kick the case down the road for about 2 years before it eventually comes before the courts.
All right, a caller says, okay, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Getting back to the original point about. I mean, suppose in the Twin Towns there's the council have bought a new park up in Drumbo. That's design work is going on at the moment. That will be a fantastic addition to the Twin Towns. I feel that
is there CCTV in these public spaces that at least could act as
that's what I was going to get to there, is that we need more CCTV. We need more cameras on our roads, because we've seen it now over the last number of weeks, and I've talked about it myself at the council meetings outside schools where cars are flying past. We had an instance at Glenealy School there and above Killygordon at Crossroads a few weeks ago where somebody was almost killed, and we don't want to be on this programme talking about.
Yeah, well, staying on that, a caller says, can you ask the candidates what they're going to do about speed coming into the Twin Towns, especially the Donegal Road direction, Finn Hops Junction along with the Dreenan Road. We all know that area, it's not good. The problem seems to be a lot of the time is getting the TII to the table to accept that what the local opinion is in relation to some of these hotspots.
Well, sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah, see, that is the thing about that's getting back on that there again. And I know all about the Dreenan Road. The Dreenan Road is used as a bypass of the town. This is why the bypass is needed so badly. I live on the Dreenan Road, so I know exactly, trying to get out my own gate, what it's like. And there's, as I say, if we had cameras along different roads, because we're talking about now, there's a speed review going on at the moment, but speed reviews are a waste of time if we haven't got cameras, or we haven't got speed vans, or we haven't got Garda checkpoints.
All right. Go ahead, Gary. Yep.
Just a wee quick point, just to expand on what Martin was saying there. There's a Go Safe van that's always on the road down towards St Joseph's, and you would periodically see that. You'll see it 3 or 4 times a week. Nobody speeds on that road anymore. Nobody. Because they know the Go Safe van could be there. And it's going back to that point about we need more resources, and the more resources we have, the safer we can make our communities.
Okay.
Just going to add one point that I think rather than dealing with these issues, because we're getting this everywhere, Convoy, Castlefan, Kellygarden, every day, all of the candidates will be getting it. I think rather than dealing, and we want it ramped in this road and that one, you can't have a go van everywhere, and we're certainly not going to get a guard. I think the government's initiative now about lowering the speed limit, and I know the question is when you lower it to 60 and you put it up and down, who's going to go? But I think that's a good step, because it's a good step to look, like there's roads that are marked at 80 kilometres an hour, and you'd be looking to do 40. It's a bit crazy, you know. And I know people come into this country and think we drive mad.
What frustrates me about the Finn Valley area is the TII saw fit to use people's safety as an experiment.
Yeah, in Balbafay,
right? Yeah, it was all right to use that as the people there as an experiment, but won't actually listen to the people then to address obvious issues.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes the people in authority that make the rules, the first to break them, and they don't stand up. Like what happened in Balfay was an absolute
Well, we'll
disgrace.
not reopen that can of worms.
No, but what did happen, it's a mindset that allowed them to put that up at a junction.
Well, I'm not very clever, and I knew from before that opened that was
put it at one of the busiest junctions in the county. Was
still there,
crazy,
still there. Greg, Dakota is right. My daughter has worked since she was 16. She paid rent, applied for planning permission on her own site, but there has been obstacles from 3 different planners. Last was a traffic study, even though she's inside the speed limit, which was costing in excess of €3,000, and she can't afford it. And now she's living in a mobile home, Dakota. So I mean, that's someone who's living the reality that you've been talking about this morning.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it just shows how shocking everything is at the minute.
Just in relation to the Twin Towns bypass, and we'll be brief enough on this if that's okay. The Letterkenny ones, they want the Bonagee link prioritised as part of the 10T, which is putting again the Twin Towns on the hind teat of Letterkenny.
Yeah, well, we've been hearing about this for a while, because it's been leaking out of the Letterkenny Municipal District that the officials run the council, particularly last year, have been asking to sort of lift the Letterkenny Monagee link.
Get that done first.
But think the member. But now what's been recently happening, the engineers have been telling them that a lot of the thought coming out of the National Roads Authority and the National Transport Authority is that the bypasses is the main priority here, not to build new roads. New roads now are being pushed back. We can see it all over the place for local roads, and the bypass, a town that needs and stands up about their priority. So now they're thinking of calling the Letterkenny link. It's going to be the Letterkenny bypass. We know what's going on there. We're very aware within this MD. We will be lobbying, number one, to keep the 3 projects on the table, and then if they're separating them, we'll be looking for the Balfay and Stranorlar bypass first. But look,
and I
we're
think
not
that
there
talks
yet.
to a point Martin Scanlon was raising as an independent, the fair share investment for the Finn Valley area. Often, hey, I don't mean that, this is a joke, right? But you got elected 5 times, given out about the amount of money Letterkenny was getting over your area.
No, I'm
not
listen,
literally. I'm only joking.
I'm not against it. Listen, let me make it clear. I've never been against Letterkenny. Balbafay and the Finn Valley do very well. We could work out with the hospital, the ATU. The point is, there has to be a wee bit of fairness.
Martin Scanlon, you want, of course there does, for all areas. Martin Scanlon, you say that the Finn Valley area needs to get its fair share of investment. Are you talking about roads there or generally?
Just roads mainly would be the main one. Just an infrastructure generally, and the bypass does need to go ahead now as soon as possible, because we're using the Capri Road as the bypass across Barney Logues Bridge, which is a back road, and it's not a safe road for the amount of traffic that's carrying at the minute. So that there has to be looked into and has to be pushed forward as soon as possible. And I have no issue with Letterkenny getting its fair share of funding, like the hospital and the new facility that's going to be built there. It'll be great, and we'll get use of it in the Finn Valley area as well. So I'm not against Letterkenny getting funding, but we just want to get our slice of the pie.
Is it still the case that the roads monies is allocated based on kilometres and not road traffic? I mean, like the Finn Valley is probably one of the biggest border crossings, some of the heaviest amount of traffic, heavy goods traffic, but that's not taken into account, Martin Harley. It's how many kilometres of road in any given area. That's always going to be a pain in terms of getting the right amount of money in relation to roads, but more generally speaking.
Yeah, I suppose it's something I don't know. 9 years ago, I think I walked out of a meeting, at a council meeting, because I was supposed to say I threw the toys out of the pram, because I just felt we weren't getting no support. But then you have a system where you have 6 councillors in the Finn Valley. You have 10 in Letterkenny. They're not going to vote to say to give more money to the Finn Valley. It's based on kilometres, unfortunately. What we keep always maintaining is that the east of Donegal, where we are, is the main area for farming, for milk production, for meat production. And so there's and plus, if you're coming into the county from Northern Ireland, your first entry point is almost through the Finn Valley region. So that's what we've been pushing for. We have, traffic wise, Inishowen is the same size as County Louth, yet, but they've massive amount of roads, so they get a lot more funding than the Finn Valley. Although they may not have the same amount of traffic numbers.
Yeah, okay.
Traffic numbers. So, like as I said, the last TIA meeting I was at in the beginning of December last year, if I leave Derry tomorrow morning and I drive to Adair in County Limerick, the only town I have to go through is Ballybofey Stranorlar. That's the only place I have to go through. Every other towns are bypassed. Tubbercurry is not the greatest, but you're still not going through the middle of town.
You. Okay.
So that's a big problem.
Gary, you wanted to come back in there?
Yeah, look, it's something that I think the 6 outgoing councillors and whatever 6 new councillors are elected after the 7th of June will all agree on in the Lifford Stranorlar Municipal District. Road conditioning and the amount of traffic on the roads should be the 2 most important aspects when deciding roads funding. Not how many kilometres of road you have. Is the road in a poor enough condition that it's causing damage to vehicles and it's causing potential accidents? And are there a large enough volume of vehicles using the road on a day-to-day basis? And we have both of those in the Lifford Stranorlar area, and that's why I think
like
that's
we're
one
basing
thing
it.
we can all
We're
agree
basing it on distance of roads, but there are 3 contributing factors to a road collision: 1 driver, 2 vehicle, 3 roads. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think people of your area should be disadvantaged because the roads are less in terms of length. It's actually quite crazy. Greg, if they're putting a new park up Drumbo Avenue, are they going to widen the Drumbo Avenue as it's so narrow and a death trap?
Well, what I certainly would propose, and I've spoke to a number of people in the town about it, Drumbo Avenue is well named. It's supposed to be an avenue. I would propose that they would drop the speed limit Drumbo Avenue down to 30 kilometres an hour, and that the cars would be the secondary. It would be for pedestrians going up and down, because we already have fantastic walks up there. We have a graveyard up there. We have a school up there. Using it as a shortcut is not a long-term plan, and I would certainly be opposed to cutting the trees from one length of Drumbo Avenue to the other just to make a footpath. We have off-road paths on the upper side of Drumbo Road and the lower side, and I wouldn't propose to start digging up and cutting down the weeds. The reason people go up there, even before where this new park's going to be, it's fantastic. It's the twinkle, it's lovely along the river. We don't want to destroy that. We want to preserve it.
Okay. Now, what we did talk about is important, but what we didn't talk about doesn't mean it's not important. And I think right across the table here, everyone is backing 100% redress for all. I think I'm correct in saying that, aren't I? So the fact that we didn't focus much on that, especially given Martin being affected homeowner, doesn't mean it's not very important to the candidates here. They don't necessarily decide what we talk about.
We have all signed the document, and we're 100% for it.
In fairness to Joe McHugh, lost the party whip with Fine Gael because he went against the government on the redress. So we've left Donegal without a Fine Gael deputy now at the moment. And in fairness to Joe McHugh, Joe has been working with us as councillors, even though he's not a member of the party, over the last number of years since he lost the party whip. So I think.
Is Joe McHugh running in the local elections now?
No. I just want to give him a praise where it's due.
Yeah, okay. Dakota, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
No, just that we are 100% redress, and that we support all families that are going through that, and our system is an end-to-end remediation system, and it's about prioritisation and not exclusion.
It's interesting to hear the Taoiseach today say that he was going to take up the end-to-end element of that with the relevant ministers, which I thought was quite an interesting intervention. We'll see if anything comes of that. Listen, thanks. Sorry, Gary, go ahead.
Just on that's an important point to raise, Greg, because I think when we look at, I think we were talking about childcare facilities this morning. We know it's an issue in ETB schools. I think the government need to be looking at divesting responsibility for defective blocks into the different departments rather than keeping it within the housing department. If it's in educational buildings, it should fall under the remit of the Department of Education.
Childcare.
Similar for childcare.
Okay,
so I think that's something
right.
important that needs to be done.
Listen, thanks so much for all of you calling up. I really do appreciate it, and the very best of luck in the elections to all of you. And we look forward to seeing you maybe at the Aura on Saturday and out at the Count Centre on Sunday. There's 12 strong candidates looking for 6 seats, and they all want to be the person to represent you. And hopefully, maybe you've learned a little bit more about them today. Martin Scanlon, Independent. The very best of luck to you. Dakota Mheanman of Sinn Féin. I was going to say I hope you do really well. I hope you have a nice experience, okay, is what I'm saying. Martin Harley, Fine Gael, thank you. As always, I appreciate it. Patrick McGowan of Fianna Fall. Sorry we didn't get to hear much from you today, Patrick, but maybe the next time we can get him.
Thank you, Maura.
Gary Doherty of Sinn Féin, thank you very much indeed. All right, everybody, that's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show today. And we'll be back with our final debate tomorrow. It is Buncrana, and we've 5 strong candidates again in looking for your vote. So please stay tuned for that. But for now, for me, Greg Hughes, and all of the team here in the 9 till noon show, stay tuned, because John Breslin's coming up around the Northwest.